Hi everyone, I'm Eilina Armstrong, VP of Editorial for SC Magazine, welcoming you to yet another edition of SC InFocus here at RSA. And here with me now is Tony Ball, Senior VP of the IM Business Unit of HID Global. Thank you very much for being here with us.
It's my pleasure.
And I think let's just get right into it. Trust but verify. It's a very, old mantra that we hear time and again in this industry. So how are security pros, applying this concept to newer emerging technologies such as cloud or mobile devices?
Well, as you say, trust but verify. The notion of trust. How do you know that which is genuine, that which you can confidently trust? And what's your starting point? Is it 100% trust or is it zero? So going through the process of validation, of validating and verifying that which is genuine, particularly in the context of moving from a physical domain and a logical domain to remote access of information, where you don't have the human interaction, you don't have that confidence that you might have had in the dialogue. You've got to go through and assimilate that with what are the tools you need in order to be able to validate that, the authentication mechanisms. How do you ensure you put the right tools in place to ensure that that identity, that secure identity that you've provisioned, or indeed that email that comes in is something that you're expecting from the right source at the right time with the right information. So trust and verify is even more, in my estimation, relevant today than it was in its history.
We've got Bring Your Own Device. It's being talked about time and again here at RSA. Right. It's not going anywhere. How do you suggest organizations deal with worries associated with executives bringing in their own device to access corporate assets, especially given the fact that they're going to have productivity wins, they're going to have monetary wins. It's here to stay.
Yeah, well, the first one I would say is if I bring a mobile device and I want to use it, make sure it works, okay? Not necessarily ideal from a CIO's perspective, but I'm like the masses, want to bring my own device. The challenge we have in that respect, first of all, it's a great opportunity from a productivity perspective, because if people have a single device and they can uniformly transition between that which is their private environment to that which is their professional, it makes it easier for the individual. And ideally, if things are set up correctly, it makes it easier for the organization as well. Now, the challenge you have is in the modern era, the way we behave has changed substantially over the last 10 years. Can you now draw a delineation between your private life and your personal work existence to that of your professional? They blend together, okay? You might be getting up at a conference call at 6 o'clock in the morning and then taking the kids to school at 8 o'clock in the morning, and then you're back in the office, okay? So having that ability to make that transition conveniently gives the problems associated with, are you using your email privately and not letting that transgress into your professional email?
Many of us have been hearing about NFC. It's a wireless technology. It establishes communication between two mobile devices physically. Should security guys be worrying about this technology? It's supposed to show up in most, if not all, phones sooner or later. How should they handle that kind of stuff?
Well, it's a little bit back to the analogy of bring your own device in some respects, which is says you've got to pay attention, meaning NFC is going to proliferate. Mm-hmm. It's going to go very quickly. It almost reaches a tipping point, and then it's going to go very fast. Mm-hmm. We're all waiting for the handsets to essentially have the capability integrated within them. It's not a question of if, it's just a question of when. What we're also looking at is that NFC touch points are going to increase, not only in terms of physical access domains and your ability to use NFC at the door, but you're going to see that in information security. You're also going to see that in payment processing. You're also going to be able to walk up to billboards and use NFC to be able to read information. So the key there, in my estimation, is know what you're interacting with. Transaction integrity. Making sure that you're in a position to know, is that endpoint trusted? Is the transaction between your device, which ideally has a secure identity on it, through an NFC protocol, going to an endpoint, you know the integrity of that transaction. You know what risk you're putting yourself at. And those are the things that I believe need to be paid attention to. So in certain domains, you are quite comfortable to have a transaction that you say is risk appropriate, I'll take the risk.
So most would agree it's not a matter of if I'm going to be compromised, it's a matter of when. Are there programmatic changes that these guys should be considering now to kind of address that threat, that assurity? What would you suggest they kind of keep in mind, knowing that they are probably going to be victimized sooner or later?
You've got to be in a position where you're working with industry professionals associated with building your infrastructure with a multi-layered approach to security. No security system that you're going to put in place, whether it be physical, whether it be IT-centric, is going to be secure to the point where you can say that it's never going to be compromised. So the key to that success is to remain vigilant, to remain proactive, and ensure that you look at the balance of using technology, but using those that have experience of how situations have been compromised and how you're in a position to best take advantage of what's available and to put the layers in place so that you make it more difficult for that to take place. The second piece of the equation is knowing that those things are going to take place, okay? You have to make the environment less static, okay? The days when you could put a security layer in place and say, I'm done, and walk away from that, I believe are gone, okay? It's a life cycle of security. It's a constant evaluation of the perimeter. There's a constant evaluation of the threats associated that will come from outside and also from within.
So here we are, we're at RSA. We've been talking about some of the problems that security professionals are dealing with now. As you're looking to the future, let's say 6, 12 months down the line, even more, are there certain things that you would suggest to these guys to kind of keep in mind as they're prepping their budgets and their plans?
I think you're going to see a stronger advent of biometric authentication coming to play. I believe that that's going to be an augment to RFID in some respects. I think it's important to recognize that when you are looking at mobile, your consideration is how you take the responsibility of provisioning an identity securely to an endpoint to give the user the confidence to be in a position to be able to conduct themselves with a transaction that has integrity, that has trust. So in many of those situations, it's the forethought associated with how you enable, how you create the environment to get that trusted identity into the hands of individuals at the right point at the right time. And then once you've done that, ensuring that the systems are then interoperable for that to take advantage of it.
So thank you so much to Tony Ball for being here with us. It's great that you could stop by.
Thank you. I very much enjoyed our conversation and very much appreciated the time you gave me. Thank you.
Very good. And of course, thanks to all of you for joining us for this edition of SE InFocus. We hope to see you again very soon.